I genuinely thought that regardless of the issues that I've been dealing with, I would be able to go in there.
What they're saying is Eubank is too big for Conor Benn, so they want to make sure he doesn't get too big. He's only allowed to put £10 on between the weigh-in and the next morning, 8 AM or 10 AM.
And if he doesn't see anything coming back, then he's going to stop the fight. For me, I'd have liked to see the fight go on. Parker was 6'4" ahead on my card going into the 11th. It was a close fight. He wasn't getting caught with anything clean. He wasn't getting pummeled from left to right. His head wasn't flapping around.
Chris Eubank Jr.'s camp has been shaken to its core. In the aftermath of his brutal loss to Conor Benn, news broke that his coach had terminated their partnership, a decision that sent immediate shockwaves through the boxing world. But beyond the headlines, outrage and speculation lies a deeper, far more complicated
I saw what I was in there tonight. I thought that, once those bright lights hit and that round went
story. One built on frustration, physical collapse, unfair circumstances, and a fighter who entered the ring already carrying an enormous burden. Early analysis from Bullmeck underscored a crucial point many fans missed. Reactions from inside Eubank's own team revealed that the split wasn't about a lack of talent, effort, or discipline. Those closest to Eubank insist he gave everything he had in that fight, every ounce of energy, every drop of willpower. The problem was not commitment. The problem was
a lot of those punches, and I have made the point, a few times on my own podcast,
that he entered the ring already depleted. When a fighter is drained, exhausted, and forced into conditions that strip away his greatest strengths, even world-class skill can fail to sustain him. This is exactly what happened to Eubank. Bullmeck was among the first to highlight a stark reality.
And then I just thought it was disgraceful tonight. I just thought that... Anyway, they robbed him of a victory, but he will saw what happened.
While Conor Benn opened the fight aggressively, the true danger wasn't Benn's early explosiveness. It was the physical state in which Eubank stepped between the ropes. Extreme weight cutting had taken a severe toll. His stamina, sharpness, explosiveness, and mental clarity.
His jab, he was snatching at it, he didn't want to get it. Was Conor Benn any better than the first time? We don't even know, really. I can't take anything away from it. Conor Benn
had already been compromised before a single punch was thrown. Bullmeck stressed that this fight wasn't simply skill versus skill. It was physical survival versus physical collapse. That night, Chris didn't just fight
and Eubanks had to win. Maybe he's got into this fight, I think, well, if he beats me, it's 1-1, whatever. But he just didn't have that fire in his belly tonight. Maybe he's just lost the taste for it. But for me, I don't come to many.
Then, he fought a body pushed past its limits. Johnny Nelson echoed this sentiment, arguing that Chris's integrity and clean approach to the sport had been used against him. In Nelson's eyes, Eubank's loss wasn't an honest reflection of his boxing ability.
Like he takes his time, which isn't a bad thing. He tries to be articulate. And he sort of overspoke the point he was making.
Or his fighting heart. Instead, it exposed how the sport can sometimes reward ruthlessness, while punishing fighters who attempt to compete fairly. Eubank may have walked away defeated, but Nelson emphasized that his character, determination, and
It was great, but are we going to see that again? Do you want to see that again? No. It's done 1-1, that's it.
Willingness to face adversity remain unwavering, and that makes him far from finished. Former world champion Duke McKenzie also weighed in, focusing on the emotional and psychological side of the split. He noted how deeply Eubank's coach understood him on every level, mentally, physically, and emotionally. Ending the partnership immediately after such a draining defeat could destabilize Eubank at a time when he needs familiarity more than ever. McKenzie believes that the bond between fighter and trainer was a foundational part.
Over with. I don't think, we beat the Eubanks. It doesn't bother me. I'm a bit more mature than that.
The grandchildren ain't having the sort of trilogy of the legacies.
We don't want that no more, mate. It's over with. Done.
Part of Chris's success. Losing that support during a vulnerable moment complicates the rebuilding process. Yet at the same time, he suggests it could push Chris toward a new direction, one that reignites his focus and hunger. Promoter Frank Warren offered one of the bluntest assessments. Switching trainers repeatedly, he warned, is one of the biggest mistakes fighters make. Stability builds confidence. Constant changes disrupt rhythm, timing, and trust. Warren argued that Eubank has always possessed the natural ability to win big fights, but chaos in the corner creates unnecessary pressure.
Really, he won every round, dropped it, 10 more seconds, the fight's over. Different kind of fight, obviously, to the first fight, but needed to be. Needed to box smart and not use his emotions in there. I thought he boxed really well, busted him up to the body, and massive win for a welterweight to come up to middleweight and avenge that defeat and finally get a victory for the Benn family in the 4th episode.
35.
If Chris wants to reclaim momentum, he needs consistency, not another mental reset. Dominic Ingalls stepped forward to defend the coaching staff from unfair criticism. He insisted the team made the right decisions throughout camp, but no trainer could have altered the circumstances Eubank faced. Weight cuts, physical fatigue, and the emotional pressure surrounding the fight can break even the strongest athletes. Ingalls argued that the blame doesn't lie with the corner, but with conditions that stripped away Chris's sharpness long before the opening bell.
He lost to a faded Eubank, and then he just beat a shot to bits one. That don't make that. He's not 147. He's not 147 champion elect on the back of that.
No, can he win a world title of 147 now though?
Maybe, but the champions aren't. They're not A-level champions. They're like the B-level champions. Barrios, Crocker, they're very good fighters. Well, they're not great fighters, but I'm still not sure he'll beat him. I don't think Conor Benn's a fantastic boxer. Nigel Benn, 1990, Nigel Benn would have flattened Chris Eubank Jr. in one round tonight.
Gareth A. Davies reinforced the theme of stability. He pointed out that Chris performs best under structure, discipline, and clear technical guidance. The split is significant, but Davies believes Eubank can rise again, so long as he finds a stable voice in his corner, someone who can balance technique with mental toughness. Raw talent is essential, but in moments of crisis, smart coaching becomes everything. Johnny Nelson returned once more to defend Eubank's character. He dismissed claims that Chris is too nice, calling them misconceptions. Respect and humility do not equal weakness. Eubank showed courage in the ring, and the obstacles he faced were largely beyond his control. With the right support system, Nelson believes Chris can rebuild and prove that resilience matters just as much as aggression. Finally, Virgil Hunter offered a grounded,
maybe do the trilogy. I don't think there's any shot in hell they do a trilogy after that fight. There ain't no way you do a trilogy there. That doesn't make any sense. Because what happened in this fight showed me that the first fight was Chris Eubank Jr. left everything in that first fight. He had no
experience perspective. He emphasized that Chris has every right to make decisions he believes are best for his career. Trainers come and go. That's the nature of boxing. Losing someone like Bolmek is difficult, but it does nothing to diminish Eubank's talent, determination, or future potential. Virgil Hunter suggested that this shakeup might actually spark something positive, new strategies, new perspectives, and a renewed hunger in Chris Eubank Jr. Eddie Hearn echoed that sentiment, offering important insight. Chris has never been afraid to switch trainers or adapt to different coaching styles. In Hearn's eyes, this moment isn't a setback. It's an opening. Fresh voices in the gym could sharpen his tools, tighten his weaknesses, and elevate his ring IQ. Instead of
trilogy fight, and maybe we just leave it at there. The father's had 2 and they've had 2, and it's 1 each, and maybe that's a nice way to finish it. But I feel for Chris tonight. I'm really happy for Conor because I thought he boxed the fight of his life under real pressure, actually. Because another loss would have been.
Viewing the split as a downward slide, Hearn believes fans should see it as the start of a potential resurgence. Duke McKenzie returned to the issue of weight cutting, reminding fans that Chris entered the fight already depleted. A fighter who isn't physically at their best simply cannot display their true ability. The loss shouldn't be interpreted as a decline in skill, but rather as an outcome shaped by brutal physical strain. When a fighter is drained, their performance becomes only a fraction of what they're capable of. Dominic Ingalls expanded on this, emphasizing the physical and psychological toll that extreme weight cutting imposes. Even elite athletes lose sharpness, speed, and explosiveness when the body is pushed beyond its healthy limits. Chris didn't lose due to lack of preparation or poor training. He lost because he wasn't physically equipped to perform at the level he normally operates at. Adam Smith added that Chris lacked his usual movement, rhythm, and snap, while Benn executed his game plan effectively. But Smith stressed,
I'm not sure what I can get away with from the last fight. For Chris, the pendulum, he's rinsed himself down that much, he's thinking he can do it again. As I said, anybody can get down to the weight, it's what you can do at the weight. Boxing's the worst place to be if you aren't going to put yourself at a disadvantage, because it's the only place you can legally get killed. And so what Chris did was, Chris depleted any advantage he had.
It's the same underlying truth. Chris's flatness didn't come from being outclassed. It came from exhaustion. Even world-class fighters can crumble under the stress of hitting an unnatural weight. Derek Chisora introduced a rarely discussed angle: the financial and psychological pressure tied to making weight. Chris sacrificed strength, comfort, and energy simply to hit the required number on the scale. Fans often overlook that. Before the first bell even rings, fighters have already endured a mental and physical war just to qualify for the contest. Despite all these setbacks, criticisms, and challenges, one thing remains crystal clear. Chris Eubank Jr. is far from finished. His spirit, talent, and warrior mentality are still intact. The coach's departure hurts, the defeat stings, and the weight cut undeniably affected his performance.
Round after round after round, the feints, it upset him, the game plan by Tony and Conor, and the most important thing is he keeps to it. He give it everything he had in round 7 and 8, and he landed 2 big hard shots, and he still didn't deter from the game plan, and that shows you a level of maturity. He's grown up, and he's willing to stick to a game plan to win a fight. Emotion is no longer involved. Yeah. He's got to keep that in his game plan. He's got to keep that in his process going forward. Emotion has its place in a boxing ring, but not with
performance. But none of this defines his career. This chapter is painful, yes, but it may also be the spark that ignites his greatest comeback. Now the question is simple: what should Chris Eubank Jr. do next? Should he search for a new coach right away? Or take time to recover, reassess, and rebuild both his mind and body? Boxing fans, it's your turn. Drop your thoughts below. The story is far from over.